Time is a strange thing, isn't it? It slips away so quickly, almost like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder we try to hold on to it, the faster it seems to disappear. But here's something odd: when we're always racing against time, we're actually running away from our own lives. The more we chase after what's next, the more we miss the amazing things happening right now. Maybe the real secret to living well isn't about doing more, having more, or being more. Maybe it's about slowing down enough to notice what's already here. I spent years watching people rush around, almost like ants after their home has been disturbed. Everyone seems to be in a hurry, as if something invisible is chasing them. It makes me wonder, what are we all running toward? Or maybe, what are we trying to escape? This need for speed is everywhere in our world today. We think that faster is always better. We want faster cars, quicker computers, speedy meals, and busy lives. But here's the strange part. The faster we go, the less we seem to get done that really matters. Think about it. When you're rushing from one thing to the next, are you actually getting anywhere important? Sure, you're moving around, but are you making progress in your life in a way that counts? What if all this rushing is just a trick? Like a hamster running on its wheel, using up lots of energy but never actually getting anywhere new. When we hurry, we squeeze time so tightly that we lose the life in each moment. We trade deep experiences for shallow ones, quality for quantity, and being for just doing. Long ago, wise teachers in ancient China talked about something called wu wei, which means doing things without force or struggle. It's not about being lazy, but about letting things happen naturally, like a river flowing gently toward the sea, following the easiest path. What would happen if you tried slowing down? Not as a new thing to check off your list, but as a real way to explore your own life. What might you learn about yourself and the world if you moved at the speed of life instead of the speed of your watch? It's kind of funny, isn't it? In our effort to save time, we end up losing our lives. We're so focused on being efficient and fitting more into our days that we miss something important: our own experience of being alive. When you're rushing, ask yourself honestly, are you really here? Are you present in this amazing moment, or are you always somewhere else? Either in the future you're running toward or the past you're trying to leave behind. Hurrying makes us blind in a way. When you rush, you can't see what's right in front of you. Colors seem duller, sounds fade, and you don't feel things as much. Your mind is so focused on getting somewhere that you miss the richness of where you are. I remember walking in a garden with a friend who was always busy, always thinking about his next meeting. I stopped to watch a spider weaving its web, a tiny miracle of nature. But my friend didn't notice. Not because he couldn't see, but because his mind was already somewhere else. Can we keep going? He asked, looking at his watch. I thought, how strange that in his rush to live, he was missing life itself. This habit of hurrying doesn't just steal beauty and wonder from us, though that's bad enough. It actually takes away our lives in a deeper way, because real life only happens now, not in some future we imagine, not in memories of the past, but in this moment. When we're always rushing, we're never really here. We skim across the surface of time instead of diving into its depths. And here's the weirdest part. All this rushing comes from a misunderstanding. We think that if we just finish enough tasks, reach enough goals, or get to some perfect place, then we'll finally be able to relax and enjoy life. But that moment never arrives, does it? There's always something else to do, somewhere else to be, another goal to chase. The finish line keeps moving farther away the faster we run toward it. What if peace isn't waiting for you at the end of your to-do list? What if it's here right now, in this very moment, if you just slow down enough to see it? We often talk about our minds like they're wild animals that need to be controlled. My mind is racing, we say. I need to calm my thoughts. But is that really what the mind is? Or have we just never really understood how it works? Your mind isn't a separate thing at all. It's more like a whirlpool in a stream. The whirlpool looks like its own thing, but it's really just water moving in a certain way. You can't take the whirlpool out of the stream. It's part of the water. Your mind is like that too. It's not a thing. but a process. It's not separate from the world, but the world experiencing itself through your body and your memories. So when your mind is busy, when thoughts rush in one after another, maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe it's just the way things are right now. Just like certain conditions in a stream make a whirlpool. What happens if you stop fighting with your mind and just watch it with curiosity instead of judgment? There's a story about a Zen master who was asked how he stayed so calm. He said, "When I'm sitting, I'm just sitting. When I'm eating, I'm just eating. When I'm walking, I'm just walking." The person asking him protested, "But that's what everyone does." The master smiled and said, "No. When you're sitting, you're already thinking about eating. When you're eating, you're already thinking about walking. When you're walking, you're already planning what's next. You're never where you are." That's our strange problem, isn't it? We're never really where we are. Our bodies might be here, but our minds are somewhere else, planning, worrying, remembering, imagining. What if, instead of trying to control the mind, we just let it be and watch it gently, like watching clouds drift across the sky, not grabbing onto every thought or emotion, but just noticing them as they pass by? Maybe then we'd find that peace isn't something we get by forcing our minds to be quiet, but something that shows up naturally when we stop struggling against our own experience. When was the last time you noticed your own breathing? Not trying to change it or do any special exercise, but just noticing it as it happens. Right now, as you listen, air is moving into your lungs, oxygen is entering your blood, and carbon dioxide is leaving your body. This basic rhythm of life goes on whether you pay attention or not, yet we rarely notice it. This miracle that keeps us alive is mostly hidden from our awareness, like a river flowing under a busy city. Breathing is interesting because it's both something you can control and something that happens on its own. You can hold your breath or breathe faster if you want, but when you're not thinking about it, your body keeps breathing anyway. In this way, breath is a bridge between the part of you that you control and the part that works automatically. It's a doorway between the self you think you are and the self you really are. There's something else about breathing. It's rhythmic, in and out, over and over, like the tides of the ocean, the cycle of day and night, or the changing seasons. When you pay attention to your breath, you're tuning into a basic rhythm of nature itself. Modern life, with its constant speed and artificial light, pulls us away from these natural rhythms. We ignore the seasons with climate control, and we rush through our days by the ticking of clocks instead of the natural beat of our bodies. But the breath is always there, reminding us of our connection to the rhythms of reality. Try it now if you want. Just for a moment, notice your breathing. Feel the air coming in through your nose, filling your lungs, and then leaving again. Don't try to change it, just notice it. Did you feel that small shift in awareness? That gentle move toward being present? That's the start of peace. When you pay attention to your breath, even for a moment, something amazing happens. You become present, not lost in thoughts about the past or future, not caught up in the endless story in your head, but simply here, experiencing this moment as it is. And that's really what peace is. Being fully present with your own experience, whatever it is. Not reaching for something else, not pushing away what's here, but just being with reality as it unfolds, breath by breath, moment by moment. Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you try to hold on to something, the more it slips through your fingers, like trying to grasp water? The tighter you squeeze, the less you have. That's not a coincidence, you see. That's the universe trying to tell you something rather important. You know, it's quite amusing how seriously we take ourselves. Here we are, on a tiny speck of dust, whirling around a mediocre star in one of billions of galaxies, and yet we believe we can control things.
Man, a few minutes can feel like forever.
What does this mean? It shows us something important. Time, as we experience it, isn't really out there somewhere. It's not a thing that exists on its own. It's more like a way our minds organize what's happening. Scientists say that, deep down, time might not even exist at all. The math that explains the tiniest parts of the universe doesn't need time. And Einstein proved that time isn't the same for everyone. It can stretch or shrink depending on how fast you're moving or how strong gravity is where you are. But you don't need to be a scientist to notice that time is flexible. You feel it every day. Time flies when you're having fun. Time crawls when you're upset. Time disappears when you're totally focused. What's happening in those moments? When you're really into what you're doing, when your attention is locked on the present, the feeling of time passing, just a story your mind tells, vanishes. You enter what some people call the eternal now. This timeless feeling is closely tied to peace. When you're stuck in thoughts about time, worrying about the future, thinking about the past, always checking the clock, you usually feel nervous or unsettled. But when you drop into the present, even for a little while, a sense of calm appears. Not because you've finished something or reached a goal, but because you've stepped out of the stream of time and into the ocean of now. Zen teachers talk about the gateless gate, a phrase that means the freedom we want isn't somewhere else or some other time. It's right here, right now, always available, if we stop rushing past it. What if peace isn't something you get after you finish all your chores and responsibilities? What if it's here, in this moment, just by changing how you relate to time? Our whole lives seem built around the idea of getting somewhere. We're always trying to reach a goal, achieve something, become someone. Always chasing the next big thing, the next win, the next experience. It's like life is a journey with a destination, a mountain to climb with a peak to reach. But what if that's not the best way to think about it? What if life isn't a journey at all, but more like a dance? Not something with a start, middle, and end, but a creative process with no final goal. When you dance, you're not trying to get to a certain spot on the floor. The point of dancing is the dance itself. The joy of moving, the fun of expressing yourself, the happiness of being in the moment. What would happen if you lived life that way? Not as a bunch of problems to solve or goals to reach, but as a dance to enjoy. I remember talking to a businessman who had just retired. He spent his whole career climbing the ladder, working long hours, giving up his health and relationships to be successful. Now that he had everything he wanted, a fancy office, a big title, lots of money, he felt empty and didn't know what to do next. I spent my whole life getting somewhere, he said. Now that I'm here, I realize I don't know how to just be anywhere. How sad, but also how common. We're so focused on arriving that we never learn how to be present. We're so busy becoming that we never learn how to simply be. And here's the big joke. There is no arrival. There's no final place where all your problems are gone, all your wishes come true, all your questions are answered. Life keeps going, moment by moment, with its mix of good and bad, success and failure, clear and confusing time. The real question isn't whether you'll arrive, you won't, because there's nowhere to arrive at. The question is whether you can enjoy the dance of life as it is, with all its ups and downs, joys and sorrows, mysteries and surprises. What happens when you stop trying to arrive, when you let go of the need to get somewhere, to achieve something, to become someone? In my experience, something amazing happens. You relax. You let go of tension you didn't even know you had. And in that relaxation, in that surrender to what is instead of what you think should be, a natural peace appears. Not as something you earned, but as something that was always there, hidden under all your striving. Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you try to hold on to something, the more it slips through your fingers? Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you try to hold on to something, the more it slips through your fingers? Have you sat by a pond or lake on a windy day, watching the waves ripple across the surface, making everything blurry and unclear? Then maybe you come back on a calm day, when the water is still and smooth, reflecting the sky and trees perfectly, showing the rocks and plants below that you couldn't see before. Your mind is like that water. The thoughts, feelings, and sensations that move through your awareness are like the waves, stirred up by desires and fears, hopes and worries, pleasure and pain. When these winds are strong, as they often are in our busy lives, the mind gets cloudy and confused. But underneath all that, there's a deeper part of you that stays calm, like the bottom of the lake that isn't disturbed by the waves. This deeper awareness, some call it the witness or pure consciousness, is always there, always available. But we usually miss it because we're so caught up in what's happening on the surface. The big mystery and the big discovery is that peace isn't something you need to create or earn. It's already inside you, beneath the noise and stress of everyday thinking. It's your natural state, your birthright, the foundation of who you are. But most of us don't live this way. Most of the time, we're caught up in the drama on the surface, the endless story of me and my life, my problems, my wishes, my fears. We get so wrapped up in the ripples that we forget the depth they come from. How do you reach this deeper part? Not by fighting with the waves, not by forcing your mind to be still. That just makes more waves. Instead, by simply becoming aware of awareness itself, by shifting your attention from what you're thinking and feeling to the fact that you're aware at all. It's a small change, but it changes everything. Suddenly, you're not stuck in the story of your life. You're resting in the open, spacious awareness where all experiences happen. I remember sitting in meditation at a retreat in Japan. It was a tough day. My knees hurt, my back was sore, my mind was full of thoughts. I was trying so hard to find peace, clarity, some big breakthrough that would make all the discomfort worth it. Then out of nowhere, something shifted. Not a huge change, not a mystical vision, but just a relaxing of effort, a letting go of the need to get somewhere or achieve something. And in that letting go, I suddenly noticed a deep stillness and peace that had been there all along, underneath my struggle. My thoughts didn't disappear and my knees still hurt, but I wasn't caught up in those things anymore. They were happening, yes, but inside a wide open field of awareness that wasn't touched by them. Just like the depths of the lake aren't disturbed by the waves on the surface. That peace, that clarity is always there, waiting patiently beneath the noise and busyness of your life. Not as some rare state you get after years of practice, but as the very foundation of who you are, available right now if you just stop long enough to notice it. It's strange how we've turned life, this amazing gift, into a race that never seems to end. We're always running, always trying to get ahead, but somehow we never feel like we've arrived anywhere that matters. How did things get this way? Why do so many of us feel like we're always behind, always tired, always not quite good enough? Maybe it's because we're confused about what life is really for. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that the point of life is to make things and use things, earn money and spend it, collect experiences and achievements like trophies. This idea has become part of our schools, our jobs, our media, and our technology. Everything pushes us to go faster, be more productive, and grow all the time. Think about the smartphone in your pocket. It's an incredible tool, but it's also made it so there are no natural breaks in our day. Those little moments when we used to wait for a bus, or stand in line times when we could daydream, or just be with ourselves, are now filled with checking emails, reading news, or scrolling through social media. Even our work has spread into every part of our lives. With our devices, we can work anywhere, anytime, and many of us do. The line between work and rest has become blurry, sometimes disappearing altogether. Even our free time has started to feel like work. We don't just go on vacation. We plan every detail, take lots of pictures, and share them online. We don't just have hobbies, we turn them into side jobs or personal brands. It's like we've forgotten how to simply exist without producing, consuming, or sharing. And the weirdest thing about this race is that there's no finish line. There's never a point where we can say, I've made it. Now I can relax. There's always more to do, more to get, more to become. The goals keep moving, and the horizon keeps getting farther away. We think, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, that house, that relationship, that recognition. But when we reach those things, our desires have already moved on to something else. It's like trying to quench your thirst with salt water. Each sip just makes you thirstier. What if we've been searching for happiness in the wrong places? What if the peace we want isn't found by getting more, but by wanting less? Not by adding things to our lives, but by removing what we don't need. Not by speeding up, but by slowing down. Have you ever watched clouds drift across the sky, or noticed how slowly a tree grows? Or seen how water shapes stone over many years? Nature has a very different relationship with time than we do. It doesn't rush or force things. It doesn't try to speed up or maximize. It just unfolds at its own pace. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. no matter how much you wish it would. A caterpillar doesn't turn into a butterfly any faster because you're impatient. The tide doesn't rise or fall based on your schedule. There's a deep wisdom in nature's slow pace, a wisdom we've mostly forgotten in our fast moving world. Some things just can't be rushed without losing their true quality. I remember hiking in the mountains with a friend who was going through a tough time. He was restless, full of questions about what to do next, which path to take, how to solve his problems. As we walked, I pointed to a huge rock beside the trail, a piece of granite that had probably been there for thousands or even millions of years. "What does that rock know about your problems?" I asked. He looked at me like I was crazy. "Nothing," he said. "It's just a rock." "Exactly," I replied. "But there's something we can learn from it. That rock has been here long before you were born, and it will still be here long after you're gone. It exists on a different time scale. From its point of view, your problems are just a tiny ripple on the surface of a huge ocean." Something changed in his face. He started to notice the mountains around us, the old trees, the clouds moving overhead, all following rhythms much slower and more patient than his own thoughts. In that moment, I saw a kind of relief wash over him, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. This is what nature teaches us about time. There's strength in moving slowly, wisdom in being patient. Not everything needs to happen right now. Some things, maybe the most important things, need time to grow, to ripen, to find their true shape. The mountain doesn't apologize for taking millions of years to form. The oak tree doesn't feel bad for taking decades to reach its full height. The river doesn't worry about whether it's taking the fastest route to the sea. There's a kind of trust there. A trust in the process of life itself, a belief that timing has its own intelligence, often greater than our own understanding. What would it be like to bring some of that patience and trust into your own life? To realize that not everything needs to be solved right away, that some questions are meant to be lived with for a while before answers show up, that some things need to unfold at their own pace instead of yours. This doesn't mean giving up or being lazy. The river still flows, the tree still grows, but they do it without anxiety or the need to control everything. It's a different kind of action, one that comes from being in tune with the rhythms of reality. So here we are, living in a world full of gadgets meant to save us time, yet feeling more rushed than ever. We have comforts our ancestors couldn't imagine, but we often feel more stressed, more overwhelmed, and more disconnected than they did. What should we do? Move to a cabin in the mountains, throw away our phones, escape from modern life? Maybe that works for some people, but for most of us, the answer isn't to run away, but to change how we live. Not by rejecting the world, but by finding a new way to be in it. And this leads to the biggest paradox of all: finding stillness in movement, peace in activity, the eternal moment in the middle of the rushing stream of time. Real peace isn't something you only find in quiet places or special retreats. It's not a fragile thing that disappears when life gets busy. True serenity is strong and universal. It's available right in the middle of your busy life, at the very heart of the storm. Not by stopping the wind, you can't, but by finding the calm center within it. How? Not by adding more to your already full life, not by giving yourself another thing to do or achieve, but by noticing what's already here, what's already true beneath all the doing and becoming. This moment, right now, as you listen to these words, is the only moment that ever exists. The past is just a memory. The future is just a guess. Everything you experience, everything you live, happens now. Only now, always now. And this now is endless, limitless, always new. It's not a tiny slice of time between past and future. It's the very foundation of reality, the only place where life actually happens. When you see this, not just as an idea, but as something you feel, something amazing happens. The need to get somewhere else, to be someone else, to have something else, starts to fade. You realize that what you've been searching for has been here all along, hidden in plain sight, covered up only by your own restless seeking. This doesn't mean you stop living, stop caring, or stop acting. In fact, when you're fully present, you can respond to what's really happening instead of reacting to your worries about what might happen. You can act with clarity instead of confusion, with wisdom instead of fear. And when you stop trying to control time, when you stop fighting against it or trying to squeeze more into each moment, you discover a new relationship with time. Not the time measured by clocks and calendars, but what some call kairos, the right moment, the fullness of time. In this way, some moments seem to stretch, to become deeper and richer than their actual length. Haven't you had moments like that? Times of beauty, connection, or insight that feel outside of time? These aren't just rare events, they're glimpses of a different way of living, one that's available to all of us, not just in special times, but as our natural state, if we slow down enough to notice. So maybe that's what it means to slow down your soul. It's not about leaving life behind or moving in slow motion. It's about dropping beneath the busy surface of your mind and finding the deeper current that flows underneath. It's about discovering within the rush of everyday life the timeless moment that is always here, always complete. It's kind of funny when you think about it. We've spent all this time talking about slowing down, but even words themselves are a kind of rushing. They tumble out one after another, moving us forward through time, through ideas, through stories. But maybe that's okay, because the peace we're talking about isn't found by stopping the flow of life, but by diving into it. Not by escaping time, but by living in it fully. Not by silencing your mind, but by listening so closely that you start to hear the quiet between and beneath the words. In the end, all these words, mine and yours, all the teachings and advice, are just fingers pointing at the moon. They're not the moon itself. The real experience always goes beyond what we can say or think. So as we finish our time together, try to let go of everything I've said. Forget all the ideas about peace or presence or slowing down. Just be here now, aware of your own awareness, conscious of your own mind. Because the peace you're looking for isn't something you get by working hard or understanding more. It's your natural state, your birthright, the very foundation of who you are. Not something to find, but something to remember. Not a place to arrive at, but a place you've never left. The journey of 1,000 miles ends exactly where it began, here, now, in the only moment there ever is. If something in these words has touched you, maybe it wasn't anything new I told you. Maybe it was just a reminder of something you've always known deep inside, beneath the noise and busyness of everyday life. That recognition is yours, not mine. I've only been a mirror, reflecting your own wisdom, your own ability to be present and at peace. So take what helps you and leave the rest. Share these thoughts if you want, but remember, no one else can wake up for you. No one else can slow down your soul for you. That's a journey only you can take, one breath, one moment at a time. And maybe the biggest paradox of all is that it's not really a journey at all, but a return to what you've always been. So maybe that's what it really means to slow down your soul. Not to step away from life or move in slow motion, but to let yourself sink below the busy surface of your mind and find the deeper flow underneath. It's about discovering, right in the middle of your fast paced days, the timeless moment that's always here, always whole. It's kind of amusing, isn't it? We spend all this time talking about slowing down, but even words are a kind of rush. They spill out one after another, moving us through time, through ideas, through stories. But maybe that's just how it should be, because the peace we're talking about isn't found by stopping the flow of life, but by diving right into it. Not by running away from time, but by living in it completely. Not by forcing your mind to be quiet, but by listening so closely that you start to notice the quiet spaces between and beneath the words. In the end, all these words, mine and yours, all the advice and teachings, are just signs pointing towards something bigger. They're not the thing itself. The real experience always goes beyond what we can say or think. So as we finish our time together, try to let go of everything I've said. Forget all the ideas about peace or presence or slowing down. Just be here now, aware of your own awareness, noticing your own mind. Because the peace you're looking for isn't something you get by working harder or knowing more. It's your natural state, your birthright, the very ground of who you are. Not something to find, but something to remember. Not a place to arrive at, but a place you've never left. The journey of 1,000 miles ends exactly where it began, here, now, in the only moment there ever is. If something in these words has touched you, maybe it wasn't anything new I told you. Maybe it was just a reminder of something you've always known deep inside, beneath the noise and busyness of everyday life. That recognition is yours, not mine. I've only been a mirror, reflecting your own wisdom, your own ability to be present and at peace. So take what helps you and leave the rest. Share these thoughts if you want, but remember, no one else can wake up for you. No one else can slow down your soul for you. That's a journey only you can take, one breath, one moment at a time. And maybe the biggest surprise of all is that it's not really a journey at all, but a return to bite what you've always been.